Today we're going to talk about death. I was just racking my brain thinking, what can we talk about today? What's the most important thing that we faced with? We can see the war, and family situations, life, and all this, but I think the one thing that we all have in common is that we're going to die one day. Okay. And that seems to be troublesome. That seems to be the greatest fear of all human beings is death. And we try so hard to stay alive, at whatever cost. We got to keep grandmom alive or great-granddad alive or whatever. Even if the quality of life is dismal, there's something about maintaining that life. And I've really never bought into that. I've never believed that. I don't see the time and the energy that we take just to keep the human brain alive. The body is totally functionless, That's just me. That's the way I've thought. And I think the reason I believe that is because I don't see the fear of death. I don't see the dismal reality of death. It's like the doom, the death angel, the grim reaper and all that. I just don't see it that way. I see it that it is the inevitable end of all of us. And to me, then that motivates me, that fuels me to try to live the best life I can, the full life that I could live. I think sometimes our fear might be whatever we see ourselves as or consciously embrace spiritually or from a religious perspective or even no religion at all. Oftentimes that might be looming over our heads, the guilt. What kind of life have I lived? What's my punishment going to be? Because we bought into, the religious threats. And I don't know, maybe whether true or not, maybe that's a sign. Maybe we should just do good, live a good life and reap the harvest of that, okay? So we're going to talk about death, but I want to really reiterate how important it is to have a good, full, functionally, good quality of life. And so then you fall back on, these age-old adages like chickens coming home to roost, or you reap what you sow, what goes around comes around, karma, all these ideas that give us to understand that how we respond to other folks is going to be the response to ourselves. And not just the response to other folks, how we respond to ourselves. If I eat very unhealthy, I'm going to be very unhealthy. If I don't exercise, I'm going to be unhealthy. If I treat my body right, do good by it, I'm going to benefit the positive results. If I maintain a job and I save money and invest, do all these good things, good is going to come back. In every aspect of life that responds to our quality of life, we reap what we sow. And I dare say it even crosses into the netherworld, into what we believe is coming for us. Sometimes we live every kind of which way, hurting people, harming people, using people, abusing people, cheating and lying and stealing and just doing all kinds of dismal things. And I think in the back of our minds it's like, we're kind of blocking out the reality that we're going to die one day. And then when we do face it, periodically we feel this fear of, what is going to be the result of the type of life I've lived, and that's that religious influence on us. And the reality is, nobody can sit there and say that isn't true. You don't have to pay for it, in the next life, and nobody can say that it is. We all simply choose to believe what we believe. But I think what we really need then to focus on, what we are aware of is what's today. What are we facing today, and how do I make my today better? And so when that day finally comes, whatever's looming, across your mind, it's not going to be guilt. It's not going to be what's my punishment going to be because of the type of life I lived, because you're not going to have that guilt because you've lived, a pretty decent life. But still we want to get into the death aspect. The Bible says, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. That's 2 Corinthians 5:8. And so I don't want to focus on the religious aspect of it, it will be present with the Lord. What I want to focus on is to be absent from the body, okay? So to me then, when I think about being absent from the body, what that gives me is then me, this person, I'm not one and the same with my body. If I can be absent from my body, then I am not my body. And I think that's the key. I think the key that we all have to look at is recognizing that we are not our bodies, okay? And it makes it a whole lot easier. So recognize that every place your body goes, everything your body does, every interaction your body makes, the friends your body hangs around, all this stuff that you think is just you. No, you're making the choice to place your body in that environment, okay? So whether you're a loner, or whether you're the life of the party, or whatever type of person you are, whether you're a very successful salesperson or an educated CEO of a company, or maybe you work at Burger King, or wherever you're working, whatever you're doing, whoever your friends are, your interaction, or if you have no friends at all. This is the you that is determined. This is where I'm going to place my body, and I'm going to do what it takes to make my body fit in, okay? So we always recognize in life that we are not relegated to a particular environment, that we are totally in control of whatever the situation our bodies find themselves in based on the decisions we decide to make for our bodies, okay? And for the rest of this talk, and for the rest of your life, you should recognize that you are not one in the same. You and your body are not synonymous, okay? That you're a somewhat symbiotic relationship. Somewhat. Your body depends on your mind more than 100% more than your mind depends on your body, okay? And we get that confused sometimes, We let our bodies dictate and when we don't need to or when we don't have to. And what I'm going to share with you in this talk, because this is what I'm expecting is to bring comfort into the lives of us who are fearing death, who are very concerned about death. Don't be. Because guess what? You are never going to die. Now this is not a religious talk, okay? This is just a talk, all right? So I was thinking about this, I was thinking about I've had deaths in my family. My mother passed away when she was like 97. My father passed away when he was in his 70s and all. I've seen my brother pass away, and I've seen my mother-in-law pass away. My father-in-law, he's kind of sick right now, on his way. And I was thinking about this recently. And then I was thinking about myself, I'm going to be 68 years old, and I'm getting up there as well, And so I think I'm closer to the end than I was to the beginning, right? And so we think of these things. But I try to eat healthy pretty much, and I try to exercise a lot. But the reality is, no matter how physically well I can keep myself, eventually that day is going to come, okay? But I think that, and so whatever I do, I'm considering, and I'm making the decisions, I'm making the choices that are going to affect my life. I know people who are extremely out of shape, extremely unhealthy. Some have already passed away because of the decisions that they made for their bodies. And there are those like me, I think, almost 68 years old this year, November, that I'm in pretty good health as a comparison to most people my age because of the decisions and the choices that I've made for my life, okay? And so what I want to see is, I see like we're in this journey, okay? This is me and my body, all right? And we're in this journey, and we're in this journey together. That's why it's so difficult to see ourselves as separate from our bodies, because we're not, right? From the time we come into this world and the things that we're doing, we're not really separate from our bodies. And so I want to go to the movies. I want to ask that girl out on a date. I want to do this. I want to practice karate. I want to, all these things that we want to do, and we just do these things. That's how we are when we're young. We're not thinking about anything else. This is just what I want to do. Okay, and so the exercises and all the stuff. Say you got a guy that likes to exercise when he's younger. Okay, that's a good one. Exercise is going to be what we're going to use as an analogy to everything or anything that we do in life that we choose to do with our minds or where we take our bodies. Okay, and so it's like we're walking together, and we are one seemingly. But as we get older, say we get into our 30s and our 40s, we see things happening. You know, our knees just aren't functioning like they used to. We can't bend over and do all the things that we used to do in the way that we used to do them when we were younger. We could jump out of this, run upstairs, do all these things we love to do, but we find ourselves getting older and we just don't do those things anymore because it's a little bit more trying. It's a little bit more exhausting. So we just don't do it, and we're not thinking about it. So rather than run up these stairs, I'm just going to walk up, and maybe rather briskly at 40 or 50 years old. And that's kind of symbolic of life, how you're just walking along with your body, but your body is speaking to you now. See, when we're younger, we're leading the way. We're in school, you know, we're in high school, we're deciding to go to college and what direction I want to take my life, and then we're in college and we're taking our courses. We might go to graduate school. All these ideas that we have that we're going to expose ourselves to and make ourselves a part of. We're leading the way. We're leading our body everywhere that we go. Hey, let's go here. And be conscious of what you're really doing. You're leading the body. But as you get older and you begin to slow down in every way of life, your body begins to slow down, but your mind doesn't. So what is happening, you may want to be way up here still leading, but now your body is kind of catching up. In a sense, your body is beginning to speak to your mind, saying, no, I ain't running those stairs. I think we'll walk. Because we're getting to listen to our body and recognizing that our body is not where we are here. I might want to run those stairs, but I can't. And I guess I could if I really wanted to, but why push myself? Where when I was younger, I wasn't pushing myself. So we're still walking along this path. Our bodies are catching up. Our bodies are talking to us. And now we're up to the point where, geez, I would like to do that, but I ain't doing that. I'm not doing this. I'm not even doing half the things I was doing when I was younger. Why? Because my body is speaking to me. Because the whole time I was leading my body, now my body is caught up to me. Now my body is starting to lead me. I'm starting to respond to the condition of my body, right? So I'm not running a 5K now at 60 years old because my mind is responding to my body. Before, I could run a 5K and I'd be exhausted, but I wouldn't have a heart attack. So in a sense, you know, when I was once leading my body to do these things, now my body is leading me, and now I'm listening to my body. My body is in charge, but I'm keeping up. Yeah, I'm still working out me. I'm still working out. I'm still working out at 68 years old, you know, but I can't, you know, I do a martial art workout, right? 1,000 punches, 900 kicks. I was a martial artist when I was younger, right? So I'm doing this martial art cardio every day. This is true. But my kicks are not pristine. My kicks aren't what they were when I was a younger man, but I'm still doing it. Okay, I'm still participating because my body is leading the way. No, you can't kick that high anymore. But I'm still following. I'm close, but I'm not there. And as long as we go, the older we get, that we're still following, but we're seeing ourselves falling behind because what we want to do and what we see we are and what we're thinking about, we can't do. Because our bodies just aren't there. Our bodies are leading us. Okay, and what I'm suggesting is then we get to the point, maybe at 85 or 90 years old or whatever, 97 or whatever, we're very slow. And now we're just kind of walking because of our body. Our body is saying, no, you're getting kind of exhausted. Just stop for a minute. And your mind is, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop. So you don't want to stop. You'd rather continue doing what you always used to do, but that was when you were leading your body. But as your body is getting older, it's like wearing out. The things are falling apart. Things are falling off, you know, hair, right? And so you are following that body now, but there just comes a point where you just say, okay, I'm done. And it's okay. And at that point, you just lay down. And this is what they call the deathbed. This is what they might call hospice. This is what they might call just in your house, in your bed, you know, on your way out. Or even on the battlefield, you know, at a younger age, but still when the body's given out for whatever reason. And then you let go. And what I'm suggesting is, you know, there's nothing to fear about that. Because you are the same as you always were. Your body just wore out. You were just with your body a long time, sometimes long, sometimes short, depending on what the circumstances are. You were there with your body, but your body just wore out. You didn't wear out. And it was just time to go. And sometimes that's the hardest part. I remember my mother was kind of ready to go. Her body was shutting down, but she wasn't dying. And she said to me one day, I was sitting with her, she goes, "I just get so frustrated, I just can't die." Because we've been with our bodies so long, we don't know how to separate. But we're not one. You're the same person you've always been. Your body has just begun to wear out. And so the hardest part for us as human beings on that final day is learning how to let go. I think part of the reason we can't let go is because of that fear of death, because of that fear of the unknown, but I think it's more of death than the unknown. And so we don't let go. And so we don't know how to let go. And what I'm suggesting is that's the peace. When the individual finally lets go and leaves that body. You're not dead. The body is just worn out. That's it for the body. You've been around people that have passed away. They're not there. It's like, they were able to leave that body. And there is no sadness in that. There is no sorrow in that if we're looking at this from the proper perspective. This is what everyone has done before us. This is simply the cycle of life. And so my belief is there is something after. I don't know what it is. But it is just a simple reality, that this is just like gravity is a reality. Gravity, you drop something, it's not partial to the why, it just is. I could be throwing somebody a life donut who's in the ocean, and gravity drops it down to where they're at. Or I could be dropping, throwing a TV off of a 4-story building because I'm angry. Gravity just drops it all the way down to the ground. I might have had poor intentions here. I might have had good intentions here. But gravity is not partial to the intention. It's just the simple reality, a law that exists, that happens. And what I'm suggesting is, same as death, there's no reason to feel guilt. There's no reason to be sad. This is just what happens. And what I want to suggest is, I want to take it from another perspective. Look at a fetus. So you got the fetus, inside the mom, just floating around, right? In that darkness. But the fetus doesn't know what darkness is. This is just the reality of life. Doesn't even know what reality is, or life is. But the fetus is there. This is what's comfortable. But it doesn't even know what comfortable is, because there's nothing to compare it to. But this is the reality of its existence, although it might not comprehend that existence. But then all of a sudden, this existence is burst into the light, into a whole new environment, something totally unfamiliar. Birth, right? And what I'm suggesting today, and then there's the whole, life cycle. We all go up, being raised in a house, going to kindergarten, first grade, college, work, getting old, having families or whatever, and then at this particular point of a new birth. So what I would suggest then, just as unfamiliar as birth was to the fetus, the passing away is simply leaving this environment, being birthed into the next existence. So there's nothing to fear. That is unknown, because we have no idea what it is. I kind of doubt it's pearly white gates and streets of gold and all that stuff, because nobody knows. Who knows? But what we can pretty much be sure of, even from this race that we've run, and the walk that we've walked, and the race that we've won, the friends that we've had, what I see then is like life for us as individuals. Your consciousness, the animated part of you, that part of you that actually is thinking and doing things and making the calls for what the body is supposed to do, right? You decide. We're sort of functioning in like a parallel type existence. And so for a time we're on that same plane together, we're unified. But then there comes a time that this particular part of our existence gets old and falls away. We just continue as we always have. And so I don't know about you, I'm kind of excited, kind of, maybe taken back, what's it going to be like and all, but there is no fear in it. I want to see the fear in it. Maybe I'm going to miss my kids. Or I think for me, one of the greatest things that I think about, and this is me, not my body, this is me thinking about what I enjoy, are all of the technological advances, that are going to be happening the next 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 years. Man, I'd love to be a part of that. I'd love to see that. But the reality is none of that really matters. Because it's a different place that we actually dwell. And so just the natural thing is to leave. And I don't know if it's leaving so much as continuing to exist without the body. And that's really what we're dealing with here. And see, this is totally unknown because the scientists don't know. As much as I like Neil deGrasse Tyson and all, but he doesn't know. As much as you might like your favorite preacher or your favorite imam or your favorite rabbi, whatever, they don't know. Nobody knows. But what I want to suggest today is that when we realize the separation between ourselves and this body, we recognize that only the body perishes. And so I don't know what the next part is. But I doubt if it's going to be ever-ending fire and torment or if it's going to be streets of gold. It's going to be something, but nobody knows. See, the religions have come up. They can take it as we have taken it here pretty much all the way to the point of dying. And they may not see it as the individual being, two different entities and all. Because even like the Christian religion said, the dead in Christ shall rise. In a sense that the bodies are going to be coming back to life and rejuvenating. And that's why many of them don't believe in cremation. Because, that can't happen if you're cremated. And all these things that we just come up with and make, and with all due respect to the religions, or whether you're going somewhere, you're going to have 30 virgins, feeding you grapes, or whatever the situation is. What they believe is just something what they came up with. And maybe for good reason, because it's hard just not to believe that there's anything after. But the reality for all of us, I think, is just to recognize that the body dies. And that even as you consider yourself now, are you your body? The animated part. I don't know. And I was thinking now, just along these lines, because I can't come up with a definitive answer to this, because we don't know what it is after, I got on the... on YouTube or something, or TikTok or something the other day saying, of only the Christian religion where people have near-death experience, they claim to see Jesus. Come on, man. We're all at a point of near-death. We're like one breath away from that. Our bodies are, So that's all. Those are religious-based, okay? And mankind was here millions of years before religions were here, right? Religions have been here for about 7,000 years or so. So what happened before then? All those people died too. The Neanderthal man died, the Peking man, Lucy, and all these primates and hominids and everybody dies. But the body dies, you go on. You go on into what? I don't know. But that's kind of exciting. It's not really something to be looking at terribly. I mean, and I think sometimes, my kids, I don't want my kids to be terribly sad, but... unfortunately, as it might be, they're going to get over it. I read that by AI once. I was under saying, I'm really, not really looking forward to dying anytime soon because I don't know if my kids can take it, And AI was like, oh, they can take it. They'll take it, just like you took it when your parents died, just like they took it when their parents died, and just like your kids, that their kids will take it when they die. The difference is, how are we preparing our children? It's on us. I remember this one, I think it was a Hindu or an Indian holy man. When I say holy man, I mean he had disciples that were listening to him and all this stuff. And he was about to die and they were losing their minds. And they said, oh, Master, don't leave us. And he was like, where am I going to go? And another gentleman, I don't remember what nation he was from or what belief he was a part of, but he espoused that if people are sad when you die, your loved ones, then you have done a poor job of teaching them. Okay? I think we need to turn this around. I know that when I was growing up as a kid, I was like the fourth child, and my mother was kind of tired, I guess, of waking up her kids for school all those years, and she had this way about she'd just come into my room, throw open my curtains, and turn on a record album. It was a Christian album, and this guy was just talking about when people die. 1 Thessalonians 4:13, be not, it was that I would have you not to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. And so I listened to that probably 1,000 times waking up in the mornings, and it came. My mother taught me then. I don't even know if she realized what she was doing, but that taught me, that made it ingrained within me. Do not be ignorant, even as others which have no hope, that you sorrow not about death. And even when you sort of take that down, tear that down and look at that particular statement, do not sorrow death even as others which have no hope. They have no hope. So it's not like they're going to experience something different than you. It's just that they have a negative emotion about what you should have a positive emotion about. You're not going to die. Not you. Your body may lay down, but you're going to continue. And I don't believe it's going to be anything bad. I think it's like gravity. I think it's like centrifugal force. I think it's like kinetic energy. It just is. And there is the next. Just as there was the next from becoming a fetus burst into this new existence. Once you let your body go, there will be peace. And there will be another existence. Now, I know I didn't answer the what after death part, but nobody can. I can't be genuine and give you what's going to happen. Neither can the Bible, neither can the Talmud, neither can the Quran, neither can the Bhagavad Gita, neither can any religious book, because nobody knows. They just made the stuff up with the best intentions. But what I'm sharing with you, there is nothing to fear of the inevitable. It's our, I do believe that there is an entity greater than we are. I do believe there is, in a sense, a creator, but unlike what we might think, okay? And I believe the end, or the next phase, is planned. Not to say where you're going to end up is planned, but there was a plan made. We exist. We always exist. We just happen to be inhabiting these shells right now before we move on to the next. And so that's where my comfort lies. First of all, is trying to be the best person that I can, and doing as much good as I can for anybody that I can, within reason. And not being a bully, treating folks right unless I'm crossed. Then it might not turn out that great, but I'm not going to harm anyone. So just be the best person you can. So just in case the religions are right, you're going to reap some good stuff. Don't be a bad person. The religions themselves are man-made, but there might be something to reaping what you've sown, okay? Just like the gravity, just like the centrifugal force, kinetic energy, laws in motion. When you do good, good comes back. So just do as best as you can and enjoy a great quality of life. Don't fear leaving this particular aspect of life. Just be ready to move on. And try to teach your kids not to be sad, not to be fearful, that this is simply a reality of life. Now for me personally, I think one of the reasons I think I work out so much, I don't work out crazily. I just try to work out every day, and I try to eat healthy. And my workout is primarily cardio, okay? Just because my age, that's what I think I'm supposed to be doing, and try to eat healthy. Because I want to live a long time, but I don't want to live a terrible quality of life. I don't want to be just moved around from room to room, fed applesauce through a straw, and I don't want to be that. That's not life for me. And if we're just temporarily here in these bodies, why prolong that? That's just a result of a fear of death from the loved ones, okay, and maybe from you too. Just all I can do is just stay alive. No, that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're meant for. We're meant to have a purpose. And just to be laying there, I don't see that. So I try to keep myself around, alive and healthy as long as I can, the best that I can as well. I try to keep my finances as I should. I have a little, even though I live in a nice neighborhood, a very nice house, I do have a rental property that's a ranch, just in case one day, I have that person on a month-to-month. In case I gotta live there. Whatever. I try to take care of myself because I don't want to be a burden on my family. I don't want to be a burden on my kids. Life is so short. I don't want 10 or 15-year chunk out of their life being used up trying to take care of me. So I'm trying to do the best that I can. Okay? The best that I can to keep my quality of life the best that it can be. And I just continue on. And I think that if we have that attitude where we don't fear death, but we appreciate life so much that we take care of ourselves the best we can, that's a full life. That's what we're supposed to do. And to be honest with you, I do kind of wonder what's next. But whatever it is, it's not going to be bad. I do. And anyway. Maybe we'll pick this up later if I figure out what's going to happen to us after we leave these bodies. But right now, I don't know. But to me, okay, this is how we're going to close. I'm still working. I've been working this last job 32.7 years, okay? I joined the military in the 70s. I worked for the Beano Railroad when I left the military. I went to work for NCR Corporation for 13 years when I left the railroad. And I've been here for 32 and a half years. Still going strong. And so I'm working all these years. And so I'm building a 401k, of course. Social Security, I'm increasing the Social Security. I'm working. I've been unemployed 5 months since I was 17 years old. I'll be 68 this year. And postal retirement. I work for the post office. So far, 32 and a half years, and I'm still going strong. And it's like, I haven't calculated all that I have accumulated. I know it's going to be a lot. I know my siblings, man, they shake their heads at me sometimes because they figure everything out to the penny. I have to retire on this date to take advantage of this and all this stuff. I don't go there, man. It's almost like being shuffled all these cards. I don't have to count the cards and look at them while I'm getting them. When I get all my cards, okay, when it's time to play, let me go through these cards and see what I got. And that's how it is in life. And so I don't really worry about death in that sense because I'm too busy making a good life for myself, okay? I'm collecting all these cards, I'm collecting all these benefits, and I'm getting it all together, putting it all together and everything, so when that day finally comes, I'll have everything I need, even though if I don't exactly know what it is right now. And I think that's the way it is with the next stage of our existence, is that just don't worry about the next stage of your existence. Because you can't change it you can't know what it is. All you can do is make the best of now. Make all the right decisions, good decisions, preparation. Keep yourself healthy. Keep yourself living a long time, financially well, relationally well, doing your family right, doing people right, not doing people wrong. Just collect all that good stuff, and whatever it is, in the end, you're going to reap well. You're going to have lived a good life, a good full life, a happy life, without enemies, people cool with you and all, loving you. And then when it's time to move on, not only are you going to move on, you're going to be able to leave a legacy to your kids. You're going to leave finances. You're going to leave a home or two. You're going to leave stuff that they can have to have good memories of you by. And the best legacy that you can leave your children is to not only demonstrate before their eyes on how to live, but as well to be the example and to demonstrate that in those last days how to go. And it'll be good. And that'll be a legacy that'll last forever. How's that? I know I said a lot, okay? I still didn't answer that final question. Well, where do we go when we die? Who knows? Maybe next program I'll have figured it out. You take care.